Alright, so let's give a Geodesy and ECDO update. Today is April 13th, 2026. The data from IERS goes through April 9th this morning. Let's take a look. Good news is we have had for the past couple of weeks a pretty steady, slow, gradual spiral without much change towards it looks like probably 30 west, maybe, give or take. Now it's gone really straight for the past couple of weeks, and I don't think it's worth necessarily asking too much which direction is it deviating in. If you look at the general shape, I mean, it's a spiral. Look at that. That's what it does as it undulates and kind of follows what is left of the annual and the Chandler wobble. Now, Zacharias has done some pretty interesting work that talks about what happens when there's a bit of a null, when you're at a new moon or a full moon near the spring or autumn equinox, and you have minimal stabilization from the moon and sun on the earth. The direction that the earth tends to start to tilt just a little bit during those nulls is interesting. And it does seem to have a bit of a tendency towards 78 west. The direction it's going, if it's going in more or less a straight line, before then, I don't think necessarily merits as much attention. Now, at some point, we do want to see the spiral start to get bigger, because it's gotten, as you can see, a lot smaller over the past 18 months. In some ways, I would like it to get bigger. It does give me a touch of uneasiness that the wobble has decayed to the extent that it has from as far back as we can see, which is data going back to maybe the 1930s or so. It doesn't look like it's been this little in the past, and maybe that's not anything particularly alarming, because we don't know for sure. But as we look for potential signs of true polar wander, part of my hope is that by taking a look at things now, we get to at least have some bearings, so that as we look for potential anomalies in the future, we've got some context. The one thing that I'm kind of watching for in a somewhat more short term is that it did seem like when we had a couple nulls towards the end of last year, this is late December, and then early this year, things seem to be pulled towards 78 west fairly strongly. My hope is that as the spiral, should quote-unquote take a left turn here over the next few months, and then start to head, looking at this chart, if you will, start to head up and to the right, and then start to kind of go from the 6 o'clock position, if you will, to then the 3 o'clock position, and going back up towards midnight. If it starts to look like it is trying and failing to go in that direction, that is to say, trying and failing to go in the opposite direction of what it was being pulled towards at the end of last year, beginning of this year, then I would be much, much more concerned. But at the moment so far, it looks like it's still maintaining a bit of a spiral. We want to see that spiral get bigger, just preferentially not bigger in a direction that looks like it is a failure to go up and to the right, if that makes sense.